there's this unconscious agreement that one person in particular is going to put their needs second and they're going to cater to their partner's needs. And this happens particularly when the partner is having a really hard time, like actually just regulating their own emotions. So it could be jealousy. That's a common scenario, but it could also just be, if there's a pattern of suppressing your desires or your wants or your needs. And then you get into a certain scenario where you're like, oh, I've actually crossed my own boundary. And then you blow up and you get really emotional. That's a really common scenario that happens. And so one particular person in the relationship is having a really hard time like actually regulating their emotions. Maybe they get super anxious or blow up and they're realizing like, I've gone too far. This isn't actually comfortable for me. I'm backing out and I'm lashing out at you in the process. And they're expecting you to cater to them and to help them process their emotions for them. There's a difference between showing empathy and being supportive and being someone's crutch emotionally. And so it could be this unnamed expectation around putting your needs second and putting your partner's needs first. I see this actually a lot. And it's hard too, because like, for example, I have one client right now who's been in a relationship for 5 years. And this has been the dynamic since day one. And it's interesting too, right? Because like, they started off in COVID where it was a totally different like set of like norms in that time, like cultural norms around like the social isolation. And so there is kind of this codependent conditioning that happens. Maybe you can relate to this. You're not aiming for that, but that's just how it turns out because of the way that society was structured at that time. You're living together, you're sharing a lot of experiences. There's a bit of enmeshment. And so when that sets the tone for the relationship, it can be kind of hard to get out of that, especially if, let's say, if the partner who is having a really hard time regulating their emotions all of a sudden notices that you are showing up differently and you are putting yourself first. They might actually freak out at that. They might misinterpret that as rejection of like, what, you don't care about me? Why aren't you processing my emotions for me? Why aren't you cutting off all your friends so you can hang out with me because I'm feeling jealous? Right? Like little things like that aren't sustainable in a long-term relationship. And so the sustainable thing would be, you take care of yourself first. You put your needs first. And then you meet in the place where you're not having to sacrifice yourself. That's a long-term sustainable relationship. But if this is not a spoken agreement and the unconscious expectation is already that you are going to pause everything in your life so that you can cater to your partner's emotions, it's just going to be really messy, right? It's like being on a bumpy ride with no seatbelt. You just get tossed around. It's very emotional. It's volatile. Are we breaking up? Do you not like me anymore? There's a lot of room for misinterpretation. So this particular client, actually, what he's working on is creating some conscious agreements with his partner. And I'm going to give you a strategy for how to do this because, sometimes it's a touchy subject. It can trigger some insecurities. So there is a strategic way to do it, and we'll cover that.